Everyone loves innovation, don't they? Well, actually think about all of the incredible innovations that have had an influence over us over the years, especially in healthcare. I just recently saw a chart that demonstrated what people, at least in America, were dying from in 1900 versus 2010. And so many of the diseases that affected us so terribly over 100 years ago are virtually eradicated. Tuberculosis, pneumonia, and the flu certainly affecting certain people, but it turned out that an incredible percentage of people in the country actually died from those diseases in those days. There were a bunch of others as well, gastrointestinal diseases. And now some of those things still exist, but it shifted to other things, unfortunately, heart disease and cancer being among them. But the point is, so many of the things that caused us so much harm in the years past have gone away or have been greatly reduced because of healthcare, because of innovation in healthcare. This is true in all sorts of businesses as well. We have our beautiful smartphones. We're not using the old Motorola StarTAC. We have Netflix. We don't have to use Blockbuster. We have all kinds of improvements in so many areas. But the thing we often don't think about is innovation not only creates winners, which we all love, but it also creates some losers. Consider Uber. Uber is getting huge press all over the world. That is the online that is a smartphone-enabled car service where you go and call up a car. It comes to where you are. It's kind of a la carte. They have your information. You have a rating of the driver. You could see on your smartphone the car coming closer to you. And you don't have to go outside in the street and hail a cab, and that's such a difficult thing sometimes. This is a service that's really becoming extremely well received and valuable by lots of people. But there are losers, and the losers are, well, taxi cab companies, certainly in America and all over Europe for that matter. I think Uber is being banned in Berlin. In France, people are in Paris. The taxi drivers are protesting and going on strike, which I know in Paris is not that unusual a thing, but they're still doing it. So there's a lot of controversy, and the people that are going to lose from the Ubers of the world are the ones fighting back. And you know what? I have some sympathy for them. I like innovation. I think it's still the right way to go. But the government has created all these regulations and all these rules that have forced the traditional incumbents. In this case, we're talking about taxi drivers or the black cab drivers in London. You know, what does it take to get your license in London? You need to know all the streets. The cabbies really have tremendous knowledge about all this. But what happens when, you know, Google Maps comes out? All of a sudden, Google Maps might be even better, dare I say, than the expertise of so many London cabbies. And if it's not better, it's just about as good, and it doesn't take 2 years to learn that. So there are losers that are associated with innovation. Sometimes we forget about that. There are two obvious solutions. One is get rid of the regulations or get rid of Uber. And both of them have a lot of cost. I mean, consider this other example. Gilead, the biotech company that has just come out very recently with a hepatitis C drug, unbelievable drug that has an opportunity to actually cure hepatitis C, which if you get that creates liver damage and could cause so much hardship over a lifetime, not to mention hundreds of thousands of dollars in cost. Well, it turns out that the Hep C drug from Gilead is being sold for $84,000 for the full treatment across a year. And naturally, that's creating a huge outcry. Many other pharma companies also come out with these specialized super drugs that cost a tremendous amount of money. But what's the solution there? Force them to lower the price? Well, the truth is Gilead is already heavily discounting this price to certain communities and to poorer people who can't necessarily afford that. But if you force pharmaceutical companies to discount the price, what happens to innovation? The cost of that innovation is tremendous. And as a result, we're going to end up losing innovation. And so we don't want an anti-innovation government policy. The reality is that there is no way to avoid the fact that there are going to be some losers that go along with innovation. We think about only the winners. There are some losers. Maybe the answer is short-term subsidies or tax breaks or some such thing for people that follow the rules, such as the taxi cab drivers. They follow the rules, but now they're being dramatically challenged by these new changes. cushion the blow so that they can make the transition. But the last thing we want to do is get rid of or make it more difficult for innovation to happen, because the history of society, the history of people in country after country has shown that while innovation has some bumps along the way, it is a winning strategy, and we need to make it as easy and seamless as possible for those innovators. But let's help some of the losers along the way.